For the better part of a year, I've been using this. This is the Royal Kludge RK61, and it's a 60% Bluetooth keyboard with Altimu Browns, and overall, a very meh keyboard. Now, I've been meaning to build my own keyboard for quite a long time, and I finally decided to do it. But here's how it went all wrong. I first decided what I wanted in a keyboard. I wanted it to be 60%, relatively cheap compared to other custom keyboards, have linear switches, and be hot swappable. Unfortunately, the last one ended up being kind of a bust right off the bat, as I ended up ordering the wrong PCB of the DZ60. Apparently, I ordered the non-hot swappable one, so I had to actually manually solder everything in. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll just continue my process and just solder the switches in. I've still got my DZ60 PCB, my plastic case, my aluminum frame, my cherry stabs, my Gateron Yellow Switches, my keycaps. I'll just pull out the good old soldering iron and carry on. I then put in the stabilizers, and this was a big mistake. I had no idea how a stabilizer actually functioned or how anything actually worked and how you could take them apart, so I didn't know what a correct stabilizer actually looked like. I mounted the plate on and began to put switches in. Soldering them was easy enough, but then I ran into some problems. The first problem was that some of the switches wouldn't fit in between the stabilizers, so I had to take out the switches forcefully, bend the plate in order to take out the stabs, flip them around, put them back in, put the plate back down, and then put the switches back in finally. But then when it looked like I finally got everything to work, I ran into another problem. I put some switches in slightly wrong positions, and as a result, some keycaps didn't have enough space to be put on the keyboard. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll just use some random keycaps from the rest of the set, then I can just borrow them and use those instead. So that's exactly what I did. I took random arrow keycaps, branded keycaps, and even tried using keycaps from other keyboards. And that was mostly fine until another problem. It turns out the keycaps didn't have small enough shift keys, so they just couldn't fit on the keyboard. Once again, I turned to random keycaps and desperately tried to find something that would fit on the keyboard. It also turns out that the PCB I was using, the DZ60, has a weird bottom row layout, so I often found myself pressing the incorrect keys when trying to type. The shift key on the right side was also just one key, so I left the key that was supposed to be the shift key without any keycaps because it didn't really serve a purpose. But then, of course, another problem. While I was working on everything else, I accidentally loosened the wire on the spacebar stabilizer, and so I tried to remove the side with the loosened wire, bend the wire up so I could slide the stabilizer back in, and everything would be good, right? Well, there might have been a slight miscalculation on my part, and though I did get it back in place, the wire was bent beyond repair, and I had no choice but to leave it be. So this did mean that I couldn't use a regular spacebar, so once again, I looked for a replacement keycap and decided to use the shift key that was meant for the right side shift key for my spacebar. So here's what it looks like now, the complete Frankenstein of a keyboard. Right now I have the long 0 keycap as the left shift, the right arrow as the right shift, the shift key as the spacebar, and the down arrow as whatever this key is called. The one saving grace is that the switches feel amazing, and I can actually type on the keyboard without it being too much of a hassle. All of the alphanumerical switches work, and most of the switches work normally. There's just a few important ones with some problems. The backlighting is nice, but doesn't really show through, which I'd actually rather have off than on, because I like it better with it off. Okay, the part of the video that I know you've all been waiting for, the sound test. Let's go ahead and test these babies out. In the future, I'll probably buy some sort of pre-made keyboard, so something like the Razer Huntsman Tournament Edition or the glorious GMMK, or I'll end up buying a kit that I can just put together and I know is compatible right out of the box, because I don't want this abomination to happen again. For some reason, I looked at the parts that I was ordering from the site, and they all looked to be compatible. When I got them, I got a non-hot swappable PCB, incompatible parts, and just overall a really scuffed keyboard. I'm not entirely disappointed though. I've got to start somewhere, and this is probably the perfect place to start. Now I know not to rush things, to do more research, and to not buy while there's a worldwide pandemic going on. Alright, thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, down if you didn't. Subscribe for more tech content. Follow me on Twitter at RealBrandonYen for news, giveaways, announcements, and more. Alright, see you guys next time.